the report and also thank all the members who have spoken before me. Mr. Speaker, let me, it won't be too off the rail if I start by saying that the management of the town and city councils in the last 15, 16 years has resulted, Mr. Speaker, in another mess that we are dealing with as a new government. And amongst the many that they have left us to deal with. Obviously, Mr. Speaker, there are a number of things that we have to deal with. One is the rate arrears, rate and rental collection. I understand, Mr. Speaker, is a historical issue, but I think over the last so many years, and also exacerbated by the COVID pandemic, the rental arrears is huge now. It's almost 62.2 million, including, if you add interest portion of 2.4 million, as of December 2022, Mr. Speaker. So, and majority of the default rate payers are residential owners. These are people who could afford to pay. So the capacity of the municipal councils to deliver on the mandated roles and responsibilities, Mr. Speaker, has become a major concern due to the current financial state of the municipal and or city and town councils. If I may not also be off the mark to say that the municipal councils over the years have not managed their funds well, nor have they implemented successful rate collection and strategies. That's very clear from the areas that we see. So, Mr. Speaker, what the new government is obviously looking at, and the Honourable Minister alluded to that, is that we will be putting in strategies and controls so that there is sustainability in terms of the financial situation of local municipal councils. Mr. Speaker, I was kind of, it's kind of hilarious listening to the two former ministers. The only sensible contribution, a bit of sensible contribution that came from the other side was from Honourable Maharaj. And he rightfully talked about the legacy of annual reports, and no matter how much, Mr. Speaker, they justify, when they were in government, they had one of the worst records of getting annual reports on time. And the backlog was just huge. And this is one of the reasons, precisely, Mr. Speaker, that we are dealing with their mess, their backlog, in the Public Accounts Committee. And we have to deal with it for maybe another few years before we come to deal with this. The other point, Mr. Speaker, that they talk about, and it's very important, and this government led by the Honourable Prime Minister has already made the decision that we are going to restore elected councils. All the justification, Mr. Speaker, after the 2006 coup, and I know Honourable Bala was saying he was 8 years, but actually he was there for 16 years. He continued as an administrator appointed by the military government. So, he was there for 16 years. Running...
Speaker, say, point of order.
Point of order?
I was not in government for 16 years. I want to make it very clear, and I want this House to be on record that I was in government for the last 8 years. Simple as that.
Standing order, Honourable.
And I hope it's clear. It's kind of clarification, Mr. Speaker.
I'm asking is, you quote the standing order. What standing order have you?
Mr. Speaker, say, It's a clarification that I'm putting, like what used to happen in this parliament.
Mr. Speaker, again, Mr. Speaker, that's again quite, all I was saying that he was involved, all I was saying was he was involved in the management of municipal councils for the last 16 years. Mr. Speaker, the last municipal election was held, as you know, in 2005. And for 16 years, one of the reasons why, Mr. Speaker, we've had such problems from the financial side, from the management of councils, was direct interference by those who were in government for the last 16 years. I don't blame the workers. I blame those who were running the affairs of town and city councils. And I remember, Mr. Speaker, and he needs to be reminded because and you recall as well, sir, in 2014, when he became minister, I think he was sitting somewhere there as minister. He promised the whole country. He promised the whole country that he was going to hold local government elections. Then, Mr. Speaker, then he continued with the review for 4 years, and then comes another minister who also said we are reviewing the act. So for 8 years, Mr. Speaker, they reviewed the act because they never had the intention of holding an election. That's why. Because they were enjoying the interference, enjoying, appointing administrators, enjoying, CEOs, politicizing. And there are many examples of corrupt practices and nepotism that occurred in that system, Mr. Speaker. I mean, they need to reflect on this a little bit now that they are sitting in the opposition. And I hear, the honourable member who got sworn in today is still bragging about, the fact is that they are sitting in opposition. They should reflect on some of the actions that they took when they were in government, and that relates to the town and city councils. The heavy reliance on government funding, Mr. Speaker. Basically what has happened is because they were interfering, because they wanted to control everything, because they wanted to please everybody, and because they wanted to win the 2 elections, they went on a rampage and made sure.
Standing order number 60. And that reads, when speaking, members must confine their observations to the subject under consideration, sir. Please ask the honourable member to confine himself to the subject matter in consideration. Stop making comparisons about before. Get on with the job, Honourable Speaker, sir. That's what we're asking.
Again, Mr. Speaker, that is hilarious coming from the honourable member. I'm still talking about the municipal councils elections because we are looking at a report which was done as part of what they did before, and we're talking about elections. And I'm also, Mr. Speaker, responding to what they've been saying. The other point, Mr. Speaker, about the delay in getting the annual reports and financial statements, again, Mr. Speaker, they are blaming the office of the Auditor General. Yes. When they were in government, they did everything, Mr. Speaker, let alone the Auditor General's office. They tried to interfere in every independent institution. And he has the audacity, Mr. Speaker, to come again and blame the Auditor General's office. They got the Auditor General, they attacked him in Parliament, they attacked the Auditor General's office, and they appointed a commission of inquiry in November, not December 2022, as you said, November 2021. 1 year they did not produce the report. So stop talking about the Auditor General's office. Yeah, stop talking about the Auditor General's office. So, Mr. Speaker,
Order.
this is coming from members who are in government. They attack, and they were all sitting here like ducks, the others, and cheering the men.
Yes, sir, in your own words, a little bit of leeway every now and then is fine, Honourable Speaker, sir. But I've raised it, I will raise it again. In accordance with the standing orders, please ask the Honourable Member to stay relevant. He's absolutely as irrelevant can be.
Mr. Speaker, I honestly, I can't understand what the point of order for that honourable member is. I'm talking about the municipal council elections. I'm talking about the Auditor General's report, and the honourable member talked about it. I'm responding to him. I don't know. I mean, what is he talking about? He's wasting it. Yeah. So, Mr. Speaker, let me also respond to Honorable Bala. He said he wants to thank all the hard-working staff of the town and city council. But let me remind him, from 2016, Mr. Speaker, from 2016, the workers in the Super City Council did not manage to negotiate anything, nor any pay rise or any of the conditions that was deteriorated. Now, Mr. Speaker, under this government, the unions are now having a good negotiation, led by he knows who, Akhtar Singh, and soon they will. This is a government, Mr. Speaker, which has decided that the unions, the employers, and government will work together to ensure that the workers in this country receive justice. And we are reversing all the injustices that was done under their government, Mr. Speaker. We are doing that. We have also, Mr. Speaker, announced that the retirement age of the municipal workers, once the appropriate legislation is put in place, will be done. The final point I want to make, Mr. Speaker, and again, they are responsible. You look at some of the capital projects, and he knows. Honorable Bala knows. Honorable Kumar knows. They know. They know, Mr. Speaker. Either you talk about Lotoka swimming pool, whether you talk about Bar Stadium, whether you talk about completion of Govind Park, whether you talk about markets, it's all logged by them. And we, Mr. Speaker, we have landed with the responsibility. We have landed with the responsibility of clearing that mess. And he, Mr. Speaker, I'll let them laugh a little bit, Mr. Speaker. He knows. Mr. Speaker, I know why the honourable member is getting agitated. Because he knows what happened. And he was involved in it. And Mr. Speaker, he has a lot to explain. He has a lot to explain. And we'll come to that. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to. Mr. Speaker, the important thing for us to understand out of this report and the legacy that they left us is that we need to streamline all the processes. the financial processes, the government funding to the town and city councils, and only when we are able to do that properly, Mr. Speaker, we will bring the services back that the people, the ratepayers, need in this country, in the town and city councils. We've been talking about ease of doing business, Mr. Speaker, and one of the biggest bottlenecks is the efficiency within the municipal councils, apart from many others. So again, Mr. Speaker, that is another mess that we have to deal with. So, Mr. Speaker, going forward, as the Honourable Minister pointed out very clearly, that the government has announced that we will hold municipal elections. And the Honourable Minister also pointed out that the work is being done to review the appropriate laws, the appropriate process and procedures. And once that is in place, and that's the commitment that the government has made, and that will happen. So I want to tell the people of this country, all the ratepayers, all those people living in town and cities, that as soon as the government is ready, they will have an opportunity to hold the elections. And we are going to give back elected councils to the people of this country. And that's when we expect accountability and responsibility to return, and services in the way that people deserve in town and city councils will be restored, Mr. Speaker. So once again, I want to thank the Chair, the honourable members of the committee for the report before Parliament. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.